Hey, massive update today. We will be in Antarctica in less than 12 days. It's hard to believe we are this close. Now, a couple important items before I introduce everyone to Jonathan. You may recall that during a recent debate on the Modern Day Debate YouTube channel, the moderator Ryan suggested having a discussion on their channel before we go to Antarctica, specifically on what the globe model predicts will happen while we're there and what the flat earth model predicts will happen in Antarctica. I know my globe friends like to tell me that flat earthers have no model because flat earth is false. And they tell me that it's impossible for flat earthers to make predictions because flat earth is false. But they also told me that no flat earther would agree to go on the Modern Day Debate channel with me to discuss our predictions for TFE. Well, I am very excited to announce that I will be on the Modern Day Debate YouTube channel this Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern with none other than Flatzoid. If you follow this whole flat earth versus globe debate, you definitely know who Flatzoid is. He runs the channel Flatzoid's Perspective, and he also happens to live in South Africa, which is pretty cool. That did make it a little difficult to find a time that worked for both of us, but we figured it out. So mark your calendars for 4 p.m. Eastern Time this Friday, December 6th. I will be making the specific globe predictions for our trip to Antarctica based on the globe model and based on Antarctica being this island continent at the bottom of the globe. Now, I will be as specific as I can with my predictions so as to bolster the strength of the globe model. If you make a vague prediction, that's not too impressive, you know? Like, for example, if you predict the sun will rise tomorrow, that's something that everyone knows and no one would think is special in any way. But if you predict that the sun will rise at a very specific time, including the exact hour, minute, and second, based on a particular latitude and longitude and the cardinal direction of the sunrise, it will be first seen at that specific geographic location. That's a pretty robust prediction. So I will be as detailed as I can because this will be on the official record as to the globe predictions for Antarctica. And hopefully Flatzoid can do the same for the flat earth model. Now, my globe friends were wrong that no flat earther would agree to go on Modern Day Debate with me. And I'm hoping they will also be wrong that flat earthers can't make predictions because we don't live on a flat earth. All right, huge update today. If you have been following our website closely, you may have noticed that the scoreboard changed today. Look for that update later. But we also have a section on our website called Antarctica Bound, which contains a list of who will be going to Antarctica with us. Now, I have not had a chance to update it recently, but there has been a name on there for quite a while, Leonard William. Leonard is from Australia, and he signed up to go with us to Antarctica as soon as he heard about TFE. He had always wanted to visit Antarctica and was excited to go with us and participate in TFE. Well, unfortunately, he reached out to me a couple weeks ago and had to back out for medical reasons. I was sad to lose Leonard as I was looking forward to meeting him in person. But this also caused a bit of a dilemma for me. You see, ALE has set up a special campsite specifically for the final experiment at Union Glacier. And this was extra work they did just for us, for which I'm extremely grateful. But this was done under the assumption that we would have at least 8 people on the trip in addition to myself. Losing Leonard meant that we now dropped below that threshold. So I reached out to a handful of people that are going with us to apprise them of the situation and to ask them if they know of anyone else who has expressed interest in going with us, as we now have one more spot to fill. I reached out to Jaron, MC Toon, Austin, and Mark Herman, who is Candace Owens' director. Of course, the first person everybody thought of was Alex Stein, but Alex Stein recently said that he was afraid to go to Antarctica, so he's off the list. Well, Mark got back to me and said that his friend, Jonathan Mariande, had expressed interest in going with us already. But that's not the most interesting part. Then he told me that Jonathan is a Hollywood filmmaker. And that's not the most interesting part. Then he told me that if Jonathan went with us, he would film a documentary of our trip. And that's not even the most interesting part. Lastly, he told me that Jonathan Mariande is a flat earther. Now, this really got my attention. Everyone has been asking me if a documentary would be created from TFE, and I had no plans of having anyone join us to film a documentary. I even had a couple people reach out to me early on and offer their services, but I turned them both down. But this situation is different. Jonathan is a Hollywood filmmaker, not just a content creator with a camera. And most importantly, he's a flat earther. Most people are aware with what happened with Behind the Curve and how the filmmakers acted like they were going to make a fair representation of the flat earth side. And according to the flat earthers involved, they ended up taking things out of context and wouldn't even share the unedited video after the fact, even though Jaron asked them for it. So that problem is solved with Jonathan. As a flat earther, there will be no hit piece. Jaron and Austin have also asked me for the ability to review the film prior to it being released to the public to make sure nothing is taken out of context, which I happily granted. And they can also ask for changes or even to be removed if they so desire. I'm more than happy to agree to all of this. Now, most of you are going to complain and belittle Jaron and Austin for requesting this, but here is why I wouldn't do that. When someone goes through a bad experience personally, like Jaron did with Behind the Curve, you become extra cautious to make sure that doesn't ever happen to you again. That's all Jaron and Austin are doing. If you have never had this happen to you, then you can't really understand their concern because it's never happened to you before. But I'm sure we've all had something happen to us in our lives before, which made us extra cautious moving forward because no one wants to be fooled twice. And you know what they say about being fooled twice. The most exciting thing for me is that we now have 4 flat earthers going to Antarctica and also 4 globers, making the teams equal in terms of participants. I know that's not that big of a deal, but I am a numbers guy and I'm also a bit OCD. So I like things to just be clean and equal and symmetrical. So this is big news, and we are all very excited for this. Now, I know the conspiracy theorists are going to run wild with this one. That doesn't bother me anymore. At first, I found all these wild and crazy conspiracies frustrating, but now I find them a bit comical. And I could use a good laugh this week, so let me know your conspiracies in the comments below. And also look for 3 TFE challenges coming later this week. You will have the chance to make predictions about 3 very specific things associated with our trip to Antarctica. And if your predictions are the closest to what actually happens, I will announce you as the winner from the ice in Antarctica. See you all tomorrow.